Hi folks, my name is Allie D'Andrea. Welcome back to MidwayUSA's YouTube channel. Today we are cooking up some elk burgers. These were made on the grill using charcoal, and I have some techniques that I'll show you in this video to help make your wild game burgers as moist as possible. So without further ado, let's jump right in. First things first, we are going to get our burger meat ready. So I have here a package of ground elk. This is from a bull elk, and I did not add any kind of additional fat to this meat. So while I'm making these burgers, I need to find a way to add in a little bit of fat and or moisture to the meat because I don't want dry burgers. So the way that I'm going to do that is by adding in some fat through mayo and some moisture through some Worcestershire sauce and Dijon mustard, as well as an onion. There are other ways that you can do this. You can add in an egg or breadcrumbs or butter even, or you can cut in some fat while you're actually grinding your meat. But I like this recipe because I'm adding in a lot of flavor through the mustard, mayo, and Worcestershire sauce. So first things first, let's chop up a quarter of a red onion. Finely mince that and add it to the bowl. Then we'll add 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon of mayonnaise, and 1 teaspoon of that Dijon mustard. Then to our seasonings, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, 1/4 of a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. And now add in your ground elk. You don't want to over mix this. Mix it just enough until it's incorporated, and then you're done. So this recipe calls for 1 pound of ground elk. Now this package that I have is probably a little bit more than that, so I will weigh it as I add it, but just keep that in mind. If you're looking to use, say, 2 pounds of ground elk meat, you'll want to double the recipe. Now it is time to fire up our grill. I'm using charcoal briquettes, and I'm going to get them going using a basket and some fire starters. Once those charcoals are white hot, I'll dump them in the grill and let that grill preheat for, say, 15 minutes or so. We want those grates to get nice and hot and ready for our burgers. I like to roll the meat into equal-sized balls and then use a cookie cutter to help me press down and shape it into a circle. Again, you don't want to overwork the meat. That will make the burger tough and dense. So with a very light hand, I'm pressing it down into the mold to get these perfect, beautiful circles. I have about 1/4 of that red onion left over. So I'm going to use it to help me oil up these grates. I have some high temp cooking oil. Today I happen to be using avocado oil. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of this on the onion and then use that onion to help me spread it out evenly over the grates. Now it's time for cheese. Woo! Look at these burgers. They look insanely good. The way that the cheese melted so perfectly on top, amazing. We've got a nice toasty bun ready to go. And before we start to assemble, I need to mix up our sauce to go with the burgers. So in a small bowl, I'm mixing together 1/4 cup of mayo, 1 tablespoon of ketchup, and a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. So to start my assembly, I'm going to start with the sauce and put that on the bottom bun. Then I'll go in with some lettuce, a couple of slices of tomato, and some red onion. Now one of our burgers, cheesy and delicious. Top it off with our bun. Oh, look at that beauty. Oh my goodness. Now I will say the burgers shrink by about 20% as they cook. So these are 20% smaller than where we started with our cookie cutter. Probably would have been a little more ideal to have a larger cookie cutter. These are more like slider size now, and I've got my big old burger bun with a patty that's a little too small, but I don't mind, you can always double it up, but that's just a note for you for the future. Let's dig in. Oh yeah, it's wonderful. The melty cheese, I'm getting all of the seasonings that we added to that ground elk meat in the burger itself. You got the fresh lettuce, the fresh onion, the fresh tomato, the flavor from the sauce. I actually want more sauce. I'm gonna chow down, eat the rest of this burger, but that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or ideas for maybe future recipe videos here on Midway's channel, leave them in the comments down below. But that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.